As an agronomist, there are a few topics I'm more passionate about than environmental stewardship. Honestly, it gets right to the very heart of what sustainable agriculture is all about. It's this incredible blend of science, responsibility, and just a deep, deep respect for the land that we all depend on. So here's our game plan. We're going to take a real journey here, looking at this from every possible angle. We're going to start super small. I'm talking about the fine print on a single product jug. And then we're going to zoom out and out again, until we can see how one single decision in one field can actually send ripples across an entire landscape. It's a powerful reminder that in farming, absolutely everything is connected. This is the fundamental question, isn't it? Modern agriculture has given us these incredibly powerful tools to make sure we can feed the world. But with great power comes great responsibility. The real challenge, the tightrope that every good farmer walks, is getting the job done without creating a huge ecological mess for later. Okay, let's dive right in, because the absolute foundation, the bedrock of using any pesticide responsibly, begins right here. Before you even think about breaking the seal on a container, this part is completely non-negotiable. I really want you to let that sink in for a minute. The label is not a list of helpful hints. It's not a suggestion. It is a legally binding document. You can think of it like a contract between the company that made it, the government regulators, and you, the applicator. Going off label isn't just a bad idea, it's literally against the law. And here's one of the most brilliant things about the label, this incredibly simple color coding system. Before you even have to read a single word, that colored band at the bottom gives you an instant heads up. Red means stop, this is very toxic. Yellow, okay, it's harmful. Blue is a caution. Green means it's unlikely to be a major hazard. It is your first, fastest safety check. It's genius. All right, so you've read the label, you've picked the right product. Now for the really tricky part, making sure that product goes exactly where you want it to go and only where you want it to go. And this isn't about luck or guesswork. This is all about mastering the science of application. Spray drift. We've all seen it on a windy day, right? A little cloud of mist moving where it shouldn't. It's a huge concern because even a tiny amount of product blowing off target can do some serious damage to a neighbor's crop, get into our water, or harm wildlife. So controlling that drift is job number one. Remember this number. Write it down. 15 kilometers per hour. This is your critical threshold, your big red stop sign. The moment wind speeds get above this, your risk of spray drift just skyrockets. Being a responsible applicator means checking the forecast, having an anemometer on hand, and being willing to shut it all down when the wind kicks up. No excuses. It really just comes down to simple physics. The higher up your sprayer boom is, the longer each droplet has to fall to reach the crop. And the longer it's falling, the more time the wind has to grab it and carry it away. So by keeping that boom nice and low, right in that sweet spot between 50 and 75 centimeters, you're basically giving the wind less of a chance to cause trouble. It's one of the easiest and most effective things you can control. And this is where your equipment choice is so important. Think about it. You wouldn't try to paint a whole house with a tiny artist's brush, right? It's the same idea here. For herbicides going onto the soil, you want a flat fan nozzle that creates a coarse, heavy droplet. But for insecticides or fungicides where you need to cover every little leaf, you need that fine mist you get from a hollow cone nozzle. Using the right tool for the job isn't just about being effective, it's a huge part of being a good steward. Okay, let's widen our focus now. A field isn't just a monoculture of one crop. It's a whole ecosystem, and it's buzzing with life. A lot of those creatures aren't pests at all. In fact, many of them are your allies, your unpaid workforce, and they're crucial partners in this whole enterprise. Just think about that for a second. A single honeybee can fly 5 kilometers, that's over 3 miles, just to help pollinate a canola crop. That work they're doing translates directly into a better harvest, into more yield. So protecting them isn't just some feel-good environmental issue, it's about protecting your own bottom line. And the difference in your choices here, well, the data is just staggering. A broad-spectrum insecticide is like dropping a bomb. It can kill more than 75% of your beneficial insects, your free pest control crew, and it sticks around for months. A selective product, on the other hand, is like using a sniper rifle. It takes out the target pest with very little collateral damage, and then it's gone. The choice you make here has massive consequences for the health of your field. So, at the end of the day, protecting these little allies really comes down to a simple, proactive 3-step plan. First, choose the softer, more selective products whenever you can. Second, time your application for when pollinators are least active. Think really early in the morning or late in the evening. And third, and you know I was going to say it, always read that label for specific warnings about bees. Simple steps, huge impact. All right, let's pull the camera way, way back now, because the responsibility of a steward doesn't stop at the property line. The things we do on the farm can have consequences that ripple out way beyond the fence row, across the entire landscape. Look, this is a tough fact, but it's one we have to confront. This isn't about pointing fingers at any one person. It's about recognizing a simple truth. The small, individual actions that happen across millions of acres can add up, and they can have a huge collective impact on the quality of our water. This is a shared challenge that requires shared solutions. And understanding this distinction is absolutely key. Point source pollution is the easy stuff, right? It's one pipe coming from one factory dumping into a river. You can point right at it. But non-point source, that's way trickier. It's not one pipe. It's the slow, steady runoff from a huge area, like thousands of acres of farmland. And you can't manage it by plugging one hole. You have to change practices across the entire landscape. And what's really wild, and a little bit scary, is just how good these pollutants are at traveling. They are little escape artists. A big rain can wash them across the surface, into a stream. They can grab onto tiny bits of soil and ride them for miles during an erosion event. They can even seep deep, deep into the earth and get into the groundwater that we drink. Every path leads away from the field and out into the bigger world. So this brings us to the final, and I think the most important piece of the whole puzzle. All of these individual practices we've talked about, they're all held together by a single philosophy, what we call a stewardship mindset. Integrated pest management, or IPM, is really the gold standard for this way of thinking. It's about shifting from a simple reactive mindset, see a bug, spray a bug, to a much smarter, more holistic strategy. It's about using our knowledge of the ecosystem as our number one tool. This is the IPM playbook. It's not about spraying on a fixed schedule. It's about being a detective in your own field. First, you have to correctly identify the pest. Then you monitor it, you scout, you see if its numbers are actually a problem. You focus on preventing problems before they start. And only when that pest crosses a line and becomes a real economic threat do you intervene. And even then, spraying is just one possible tool in a much bigger toolbox. And this requires a major mental shift. The goal is not to have a sterile, bug-free field. Honestly, a field with no insects is not a healthy ecosystem. The goal is management. It's about keeping pest populations below a level where they cause you financial harm while letting the rest of that complex living system thrive. It's all about finding that balance between economic viability and ecological health. And so we come back to that ultimate question. Can we do both? Can we feed a growing world and truly protect it? You know, adopting a stewardship mindset, one that's built on these principles of integrated pest management, it suggests that the answer is a resounding yes. But it's not the easy path. It takes constant learning, it takes unwavering responsibility, and it takes a real commitment to being more than just a producer, to being a true steward of the land.